and I'll start to give you, as best as I can, personal feedback in the chat. Okay, so here we go. We're going to get started. Usual speech, guys. If you can't talk, it's totally fine. I understand we have children. Maybe you had a night shift. You're exhausted, but let us know so we're not wasting time if I'm saying your name, all right? Because it's a live class. Just let me know in the chat if you can't talk. Andrea is saying kids around. Don't mind, Andrea. It's always a pleasure to hear your answers. They're so strong, and obviously you know very much about all things OET. Okay, let's get started. So I'm going to start the recording, quick review, and then we'll start writing sentences today. So here we go. Okay, so this is OET language. We're going to start today with a quick review, and then we'll be practicing results language sentences. I'm going to get you guys to write some in the chat. At the end of the class, we'll sort of go into contrast and that kind of thing. Let's start off with a quick game, though, just to get our brains working. Can everyone see my screen here?
Yes.
The quick game, usual game, is really important to know the type of word you're using. So, for example, if I say hat, everyone here,
Noun.
you all know that, right? Because it's a high-level class, so noun. Okay. What if I say something like listen?
Verb.
Verb.
Exactly. And if I say something like running?
Gerund.
There's many names. We can call this a gerund. We can call it a present participle. It doesn't matter what you call it, does it? It doesn't matter what the name is. It just matters using it correctly. What about this? Oops, someone's trying to get in the class. 1 second. Let that person in.
Article.
So, Ahmed, so this is article, and then this one is?
Article.
Article.
So this one is the definite article.
Indefinite.
And this is the indefinite. Okay. What about something like, how about rapidly? Rapidly.
Adverb.
Verb, okay. And then the adjective is?
Rapid.
Okay. And these little mistakes, like I learned Spanish, okay, and if you get the wrong form of the word, it's so difficult, isn't it? The verb form can be very similar to the noun form. But the native speakers, they will hear very clearly if you make that kind of mistake. Okay. All right, last one, and we'll get started. What about something like something you might sort of see in OET, spinal?
No.
No.
Oh, no, adjective, yeah.
Spine is the noun.
You can say spinal fluid, right? Spinal fluid is the liquid in the spine, and then the noun is spine, right?
The spine.
Okay. All right, so that's just a quick game. Today we're going to do review. We won't do exercises, we'll just do a quick review. Then we're going to look at this again. So we'll return to this. But at the end, we're going to look at sequence language as well, actually. We'll also look at contrast a little bit today at the end. Okay, so there's 4 things today, really. But the review is going to be very quick. So let's get started, everyone. We've been studying now for 3 days, and every class has been about sentence structure. And I started on Monday by saying that, a good way to think about this is by asking, what is a clause? And I said on Monday that usually a clause is, what is a clause usually?
Subject plus verb.
Subject plus verb. Okay. And we can call this type 1 if you like. It doesn't matter what we call it, but let's just say type 1. Okay. Or I think Paul will call this verb clause, right? Verb clause. And we talked about that many times. There's also something called a noun clause. Okay. And a noun clause, maybe Lucinda, it's better to just look at an example, I think. Could you give me an example, Lucinda, of a kind of a noun clause? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's usually got an ing in it. It's usually got an ing. It's okay if you don't know. Let me give you sort of. You'll be able to do this very easy. Look.
Can I give one?
Okay. In a noun clause, you're going to have a normal clause, verb clause, and you're going to have a comma here, and then you're going to have kind of ing situation here.
Can I say although it was raining?
Now, that would be a complex sentence, and we're going to talk about that very shortly. If I say, although it is raining, okay, it's a nice example, actually, although it is raining. The question you have to ask yourself, Lucinda, is, does this have a subject and a verb?
No.
Are you sure?
A verb?
I know it's not really referring to anything, but that is the subject. Okay, where's the verb, guys?
Yes.
Is.
Oh, it's
So this is not a noun clause, but it is a complex sentence. Okay, why is it a complex sentence, everyone? Because we have
Conjunction.
subordinating conjunction. We'll talk about this shortly. So this is what I want to talk about today, actually. Okay, so Lucinda, if I say despite, is that right? Despite it is raining.
yes.
It's not quite right.
Yes.
Okay, even though the meaning is the same, despite and although have
Yes.
exactly the same meaning. But we need, after despite, we need a noun or a noun clause. We need a noun clause here, right?
Despite raining.
So despite
Raining.
it raining, you could say, or despite it being a bit rainy, you could say, something like that. This is now a noun clause, guys, because we have this ing here. It's an idea, isn't it? It's a clear idea.
Yeah.
There's no subject, Lucinda. Do you see there's no subject?
Yes. There is no.
So
Is
where is
being-
the subject? Where is the subject in this situation?
In the second, after comma.
It being
I.
let me give you a clear example, right? Despite being in a bad mood, right? I called my mother. Usually the subject is going to be in the second clause, okay? Being in a bad mood, the subject is here. It's in the second clause. So these noun clauses, look, they're tricky. We're going to look at them today. Today is the day we'll continue looking at them, all right?
Being is gerund.
Yeah, what do you mean, sir? ING. It's an ing, yeah. Gerund can be any verb, right? Any verb can have an ing. It depends on the tense, though, right? Again, we can talk about this later. I'm just reviewing. So we talked already about what is a clause. I said mostly it's this. This is the key thing, subject and verb. Sometimes it's something called a noun clause, and I'm giving you an example here. It's much more difficult to show you, okay? But then on Monday, I said there's 3 types of sentences. What are the 3 types of sentences, everyone? Easy?
Simple.
Simple, complex, compound.
And we made this diagram, this diagram on Monday, and we reviewed it on Tuesday and Wednesday as well, okay? A simple sentence is a sentence with how many clauses, guys?
One
clause.
clause.
And is it a verb clause or a noun clause?
Verb.
Verb clause.
Okay. And I've kept the example here from Ilka. I ate, and then we have
Cake.
subject and verb, right? It's so simple. It's 2 words. You can add in cake as well if you want. Yes. Was that you, Ilka, saying put the cake in? So this is a simple one, but we remember, is this an independent clause or a dependent clause?
Independent.
And that just means stands alone. We already spoke about what that means for many days. It just means you don't need any other sort of phrases to understand it, okay? The second type is called a compound sentence. And we used an example, I think, here called, we said, the nurse treated the patient and she went home. Do you remember this?
Yes.
Yes.
And we said it has a subject here, it has a verb here, it has a conjunction here, it has a subject here, and it has a verb here. So when we have this and a conjunction, it's called a compound sentence. Okay? So how many clauses in a compound sentence, guys?
2.
2 clauses.
Clause.
More. There could be more, right? We can say but, right? We could say here, and then we would have to add in subject and verb, right? The nurse treated the patient and she went home, but She was in pain. Right? Now that's 3 clauses, but it's still a compound sentence. There's actually 7. What kind of conjunctions do we use here? What's the name of them? Do you guys remember?
Me?
Coordinating.
Coordinating.
There's actually
Coordinating.
7 very famous ones. It gets complicated, I think, because there's but there's 7 really, really famous ones. And, but,
so,
so,
No.
nor,
yet, no. Is that 7 now? 1, 2, 3,
however.
4, 6. There's one more. I said, however, but I'm going to keep that off because it's more complicated.
What about the still?
4. 4 is also. So
Still?
there's Farid, go on.
Still? Is this still?
Still, it's yet.
I'm
Because?
not sure. It's not one of the 7. These are the 7 famous ones. If you Google it, guys, you will find that there are 7 famous ones. There's more, but these are the most common. In fact, even this one, we don't use this very much. We don't use that one very much. Really, these are the ones that you use all the time. You don't really need the other ones, okay? Okay, so 2 verb clauses. Are they independent clauses or are they dependent clauses? Do you remember, guys?
Yeah,
Independent.
They're independent, right?
Independent.
She went home. It makes sense. The nurse treated the patient. It makes sense, okay? Nothing is connected. They're not connected to each other in the way that complex sentences are. Okay, so we did this already on Monday and Tuesday. We also looked at complex sentences. And I gave you the example of this. Due to being hungry, I bought some food. Okay. And this is a kind of results-based complex sentence. Do we have a conjunction here, guys? Do we have and here?
No.
Oh, right. That's a common error you see in OET. Often students, they write that. Okay. We don't need it, do we? Because we have already, what's this? Due to. It's not actually a conjunction, guys. Okay, and I'll quickly go through this in a second. But this is functioning to join the 2 sentences together. Does that make sense? It's putting them together in an important way. Okay, so what we said previously is that in the second sentence you need a subject and a verb. Okay. In the first sentence, you don't always need a subject and a verb. What kind of clause is this, guys?
Dependent clause.
Dependent clause, and is it a verb clause or a noun clause?
Sometimes it's noun clause.
But Lucinda, this is what you were saying. If I say although I was not hungry, Lucinda,
Yes.
is this a verb clause now or a noun clause?
Dependent verb clause.
Verb clause.
But it's dependent, yeah.
Yes.
Meaning that we need to have the 2 ideas together. The 2 ideas come together. Okay. So that difference is really important, isn't it? For example, you know what drives me crazy? As well as. Who here uses the phrase as well as?
I used to use it in IELTS a lot.
Yeah.
I do it sometimes.
Well as,
Using.
is it a conjunction? Like although?
No. It's
Is
I
it-
think it's coordinating.
I'm using at the
Coordinate.
end of the sentence.
It's not
but
coordinating, guys. It's not coordinating. So you can't say, I cannot say, the nurse treated the patient as well as she went home. It's not a coordinating conjunction. And it's not a subordinating conjunction. Right? So when it's not a conjunction, you have to have a noun phrase after. Does that make sense, guys? Let me try and make this clear. Subordinating conjunction. Give me examples of subordinating conjunction. Although, while, if, when, okay?
Which?
If I say due to being hungry, is due to a coordinating, due to being hungry, is due to a subordinating conjunction? No. What do we call it?
Linker.
It's an adverbial phrase. It doesn't matter what we call it, but it would be something like due to, as a result of. These are adverbial phrases, okay? I don't want to go too much into this, but the important distinction is, what do I have after a subordinating conjunction? What comes after? After
Verb.
it, subject and verb. Does that make sense? So, for example, I can say, although, what comes next? Although,
Subject.
plus
She
subject,
was angry.
verb, plus subject, plus verb. Why? Because
Yeah,
this is a subordinating conjunction.
Follow point noun.
Okay. If I say as a result of or as well as, if I say as well as, is that a subordinating conjunction?
No.
No, right? It's what's called an adverbial phrase, or there's many different, it doesn't matter what it is, it's not a conjunction. So after this, I've got to have a noun phrase. So I can't say as well as I was hungry, right? I've got to say as well as being
hungry.
Okay. Now, complex sentences, sorry about my camera, guys. Complex sentences, they're complex. It's really hard because there's so many different types. Okay. But you don't need to worry about that too much. All you guys need to understand for OET is this. There are two clauses or more. Okay. One situation is a verb clause and a noun clause. Okay. Or you can have a verb clause and a verb clause. Okay. There's always a dependent clause here, and we talked already about what that is. All right. But let's think about OET now. We want to focus. We don't have to study if. We don't need if. We don't need while so much. They're not that common in OET writing. I'm not saying you don't need them, but it's not that common. What is very common in OET writing? Complex causes. Because you guys are nurses and doctors, you're always thinking about results, aren't you? Isn't it? Your whole job is making people better, trying to stop them dying, right? So you need to talk about results a lot. So that's where we were last class. Last class, we were talking about results, but only for complex sentences, right? So let's go into that a bit more. But let's look at it again. Does anyone remember what we looked at the end of last class, which was a complex result sentence? Was it? It was due to, right? Due to, okay. And we already wrote some sentences, right? We looked at due to, due to being treated, okay? And I said, which is the cause here? And which is the result?
First is the cause.
Being treated.
Due to, yeah. And Lucinda, again, this is the key bit, right? Lucinda,
Yeah.
can I say due to he was treated? Is that okay?
No.
No, right? Because this is, we need a noun.
Noun phrase.
So after due to, guys, noun phrase, not verb phrase, not subject verb, okay? And we did this yesterday already. So we said, for example, the first one, Mrs. Green, recover well, successful surgery. You guys all wrote me sentences already. You said things like,
Mrs. Green had good.
remember? Yeah, Mrs. Green. Or well, due to, you can start with due to here, right? You
Yes.
can say, due to
surgery.
Yeah, everyone, just read that again, just reviewing quickly, and we'll get started with new sentences. Due to a successful surgery, Mrs. Green had a good
19th of June.
On
Mrs.
19th June,
had a
Miss
good
Green
recovery.
had a good.
right.
Some good
So we're using due to. It's a complex sentence. This is a noun phrase, I guess. Well, this is just a compound noun, really. Can I change it round wise? Can I start with this? Is it okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
Just the date should be in the
After
first.
recovery.
I could say Mrs. Green had a good recovery due to a successful surgery. Do I need a comma for this one?
No.
No.
Right? For complex sentences, if you do it this way, it's better to have a comma. If you do it this way, no comma. So it's complex, it's difficult, isn't it? You've got to remember that. All right. This one, is this the cause or the effect? Mrs. Green had a good recovery.
The
Result.
That's it.
Result, isn't it? Right? This one's the result. Okay. And this one here, is this the cause
Cause.
Yeah, this is terrible.
Yeah, that's the cause.
Changing it round. When we change it round, if you want, this doesn't actually really matter, but you don't need the comma if you don't want. Okay. We looked at this already yesterday. I also showed you he have fall Mr. Johnson hospitalized, and you guys wrote sentences yesterday like, due to having a fall, Mr. Johnson was hospitalized, right? And then number 3, we looked at Mrs. Jones, poor mobility, walking stick. You guys said, or a lot of you said things like, can anyone remember?
Due to
Due
having
to-
poor
Due
mobility,
to
Mobility.
Poor mobility.
Mr.
Jones.
Jones
He-
requires.
Jones
We require.
was working.
Requires or was given. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can do that like this. Due to having poor mobility, Mrs.
Yeah.
Jones requires a walking stick. Or, as I said before, we can say Mrs. Jones requires a walking stick.
Due to.
Due to poor mobility.
Due to poor mobility.
No comma.
And there's no comma. Thank you, sir. Right? When we change it round. This is a complex sentence. And don't forget, after due to, this has to be a noun or noun phrase, not subject verb, not due to she had poor mobility. Does that make sense, everyone? Really, really important.
Yes.
Okay. Now I'm reviewing because it's important to review. You'll forget, but we need to move on and look at another piece of language. And I want you guys to start to think now, is it the same or is it different? Okay. This one, due to plus noun phrase is the cause. Then we have the result. There's no conjunction here, coordinating conjunction. Okay. What about as a result now? Okay. Mr. Green had a headache. As a result, he was sick. Is that correct? Is that a
Yeah,
correct
that's
sentence?
correct. Yeah, that's correct.
So you're saying that's correct?
Yeah.
Yeah?
But
Are you
that-
sure?
No.
No,
No,
Green had a headache.
But
Well,
there is
just
a-
think about it. So yeah, this is what I want you guys to think about. This, does it require a noun phrase or a verb phrase after? You know what I mean,
noun
guys?
phrase. Noun phrase.
No.
Noun phrase.
Noun phrase.
Again, it's like due to. Okay, so you need a noun phrase
Yeah.
or a noun. Okay. So I can't, Quadra, this is wrong because I'm saying, look, Quadra.
As a result of being sick.
Being sick, yeah.
Yeah, Quadra, do you see that now that this is a subject and verb? Yeah? We cannot have it. So, Quadra, say again, as a result of.
Being.
As a result, sorry. Mrs. Green had a headache as a result,
As a result
of
of being sick.
being sick. Right. Yeah.
We need to put of here. I was trying to trick you guys. All right. And we need to remember again, not verb phrase. Okay. Where is the also Mahiba? We need to not get confused with causes and effects. So Mahiba or Savinch.
Yes.
Or, just be very careful here. Where is the cause and where is the result here?
Yeah. So here is sick is cause sickness and had a headache is the result.
Is she right, guys?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Headache is some symptoms.
Cause.
Yeah.
Because
Headache.
of the
Cause is
Result
sickness.
is headache.
Let's change the example because it's hard to see here. Because it's let's say Mr. Green had a headache as a result of being punched. Right now,
Yes.
As a result of
Yes.
hard working or
right? Mahiba, what does punched mean?
Yeah, punch mean is hit by something.
You
by
punch
someone.
people?
Boxing.
Do you
Pause.
often punch people, Mahiba? Or
Oh no, I'm gonna punch the wall.
Only her husband.
yeah, you're gonna punch people.
No, for my husband. I
During
can't.
school.
Not your husband. Okay, I'm going to mute that one. Okay, so Mrs. Green had a headache as a result of being punched. Notice that it's different, isn't it? Right? You've got to pay attention here. Can I change it round? Can I say,
Yes,
as a result of being
yes,
punched?
being punched. He had a headache.
Is it okay to start the sentence like that?
yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And this is what we're going to practice now, guys.
Thank you.
This is the cause now. This is the result. Okay. And look at this one. Mr. White admitted myocardial infarction. Where's the cause and where's the result, guys?
Myocardial infarction is cause.
Myocardial infarction is the reason.
Being admitted is.
Or
I'm going to change this. I'm going
Due
to
to myocardial infarction.
I'm going to put he had. Okay. Now, which one needs the noun phrase? Do you know what I mean? Where am I going to use my noun?
Myocardial
No, admit it.
So let's do this together. Yeah. Now, Nyok, I think you can do this with me. Think about this, Nyok. All I want you to do, take your time. Just write me one sentence of these words and make a sentence. Yeah, go on.
Okay, Mr. White was admitted as a result of having myocardial infarction.
Admitted as a result of, say again, as a result of he had
having myocardial.
No.
A result of having myocardial infarction.
having
Yeah.
having a myocardial infarction. Okay.
And we need comma.
Do I need a comma or not?
After
Yeah, do I need a comma? What do you think, guys? No, I don't.
No
need a
comma.
No.
Why? Because I started with the result, right? When you start with the result, very often people don't use the comma. Serap, question. Go on, Serap.
Hi.
Go on.
Can we use following instead of as a result of?
Well, yes and no. Right, we're going to talk about sequence and following next. Okay.
Oh, okay.
You've got to be careful. It has to actually be a result.
Alan,
I'll talk about that more in a minute. Okay. So yes and no. Yes. Question, sir.
Alan, here we had but having is for the person. It is present and it is the past.
Yeah, I'm just trying to make it more difficult. I was trying to make you think more, right? So obviously you would not say had. You have to change having, right? But also, sir, do I need he? I have to kill it. It has to die, right? Because this is a noun phrase, noun clause. There's no subject. There's no subject, okay? So got to remember, no subject and verb. Farouk, go on. You had a question?
No, just I said, yeah, you can use causes here, but now we are working on result, I think.
Yeah, guys, we'll have questions in a minute. Let's do some writing. I promise you to do some writing. It's way too long now. Number 2 and number 3. Why don't you guys write me a sentence in the chat? Okay, see if you're understanding what I'm saying. We're building on 3 days of study, so if you didn't watch the previous classes, it might be tricky, but do your best. Okay. Mr. John, check up palpitations. Use as a result of. Just practice. Imagine you were in your exam and you were trying to talk about results. I'll read everyone's work. So not due to Hussein, we're going to use as a result now. So as a result of. So Emal, yeah, this is easy for you, Emal, as a result of having. Emal, why don't you do it the other way around as well? Or if you want, Emal, you could write your own one if you want, and I'll just look at it just from your own thoughts. Atik, Mr. John had a checkup as a result of having palpitation. Palpitation or palpitations, Atik? It's always plural here, okay? It's like a heartbeat. You don't just have one. Okay, Selin, Mr. Jones had blood pressure, had his blood pressure checkup as a result of having palpitations. Don't forget the S again, Selin. Start writing, guys. Again, don't forget the S. Andrea, so Nyok, that's good. Yeah, Andrea, start with guys. Why not try to start with the adverbial phrase? Start with that. So you need the comma, right, Andrea? Good. Fareed, Mr. John, check out as a result of having palpitations. Don't forget the S again, Fareed. Khalida, very good. You're the first one, Khalida, with 0 errors. Good. Lucinda, excellent. Serap, excellent. Emal.
Alan, some people are writing was checkup and some are writing had checkup.
Yeah, you can. Did someone say was a checkup? It should be
yes.
Serap. I'm not there yet. Serap, he was be verb. You need to use have. Okay, Serap. Sorry, I missed that.
Okay.
So try again, Serap. Ola, good. Hasina, I see the second one now. Hasina, this is was, not was, have. Okay. Mohammed, have, good. There you go, guys. It's not too hard, is it? Just remembering that this is a noun phrase. Okay. Okay, good stuff. Sarah, Zina. Let's get on to the blood test one, guys. A bit more interesting. Sarah, he has been checked up as a result of his problem. Sarah, just say he had a checkup. Has been checked up sounds very strange. It's a bit unnatural. Roxana. Yeah, good. Uzma. Yeah, there we go, guys. It's actually really easy, but I just want you to understand what you're doing. You're writing a complex sentence. 2 clauses. One is a noun phrase. One is a verb phrase or verb clause. And one is dependent on the other one. No conjunction here, right? Understanding all these things. Once you understand it all, it's easy. Mr. Jones' blood tests were ordered as a result of having experienced fatigue. Yeah, good. Okay, good. Keep it going, guys. I don't see any errors here. Very good. Ahmad. Yeah, Ahmad with the E. Good self-correction there. Keep going with number 3. Okay, these are good coming through. Lucinda, do you have a question?
Yes, on this one, I wrote Mr. Jones had a blood test as a result of, now that I'm a little confused, I can put already after of experiencing, or I should put he?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Okay, so ask yourself, after as a result of, can I have a subject and a verb like he? The answer is no, right?
Yeah.
So what you're going to say as a result of, what's your ing? You need an ing. Take the verb, Lucinda, take the subject and verb in your mind, delete the subject and change the verb to ing. Right? So here's the subject and verb. Delete the subject and change this to ing. Yeah? Write the sentence. Okay, guys, so a lot of people are coming up with good stuff. In terms of Mr. John, a lot of people are saying things like Mr. John had a checkup, right? What's next, guys? Mr. John had a checkup.
As a result
Yesterday.
As a result of having palpitations.
This is the key one here. Palpitations. Palpitations, what does it mean, wise? Palpitations, why do we need the S?
Palpitations.
Not one thing, one palpitation.
Yeah, it's not one thing, it's many things. Yeah, it's thousands, millions. Okay, so Mr. Jones' blood test experienced constant fatigue. Lucinda, do you want to do it with me?
Yes, I even wrote the send already. I put Mr. Jones had blood test.
So had a blood test.
Yes, blood test. As a result of experiencing constant fatigue.
Constant fatigue. Okay, very, very nice. Let's move on now because we're now going to look at a different one. So these two, are they the same or different, guys? Are they the same or different?
Same.
It's the same rules, right? Not a verb phrase. You cannot have subject and verb after them, all right? It's exactly the same meaning and it's exactly the same grammar. Look, I can change this to, right? Absolutely no difference, okay? But what about resulting in? Because this is a very common error in OET. Resulting in, is it the same as due to? Is it the same as a result of?
No, it shows the cause.
Because resulting in.
Let's test it, Mary, right? Could you make a sentence, Mary, with resulting in? And we'll look at it, because this is one of the big errors. People who are not great at writing, they always mix this up. So let's go slowly. Go on, yeah?
Okay, for example, Mr. Jones.
Yeah, Mr. Jones.
Has been experiencing constant fatigue.
Fatigue. Very nice.
Resulting in him having a blood test.
A blood test. Okay. So, Mr. Jones has been experiencing constant fatigue, resulting in him having a blood test. Let's make this a bit smaller. Mr. Jones, I don't know, had constant fatigue, resulting in having a blood test. Okay, so guys, where is the cause here? Where is the result? Where is the cause?
Alan, no,
Causes constant fatigue is the cause.
Fatigue is the cause, and the result is
having blood test. Having blood test.
Blood test.
We just need to take care. Okay, now with the result, is this a verb phrase or a noun phrase?
Noun phrase.
Noun phrase.
Will I have a subject here? Will I have a subject for the result? Will I have a subject in the result?
No, cause.
No.
No, the subject is here, right? And when the verb is here. Okay. So with that in mind, I know there's other things to think about, but with that in mind, let's try to just write some sentences and see what mistakes we make, if any. Okay. But the key thing, guys, is always think, okay, what's the cause? What's the result? Because sometimes it can be different. It can change sometimes. Let's try. So Mr. Black, respiratory problem, advised quit smoking. Everyone in the chat box, write me a sentence for this. You have an example sentence here. That's your example. All right. Notice that, in fact, I'll do the two clauses. Here's clause 2. Just write in the chat box.
I have done it one, but I'm not sure with the first one if it is correctly, if you can double check.
Yeah, I'll look at yours, Anna. So I'll start with this. So resulting in, yeah? Resulting in Mrs. Jones was advised to quit smoking due to follow. Yeah, so that's not correct. So go slowly, Anna. So Anna, let's do this one together, okay? So look at this, Anna. Where is the cause? Where is the result?
The cause it is respiratory problem.
Yeah, and that's subject and verb, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you can just say Mr. Black, subject.
Had the respiratory problem.
So it's just had, yeah. Respiratory problem.
Resulting in him advised to quit smoking.
Now, what you'll do is, right, take that verb and just change it into ing.
Advising him.
Advising.
Now, if I say advising, resulting in him advising, is he doing it or is the doctor doing it?
Taking a
doctor.
The doctor doing it.
We need to have a passive.
Being advised.
So being, yeah, you can say being. Now we're doing passive, and now we can say advised. Okay. So Mr. Black had respiratory problems, resulting in him being advised, Anna, to
quit
smoking.
All the time with resulting in, I have some problems, but with
just always think about what's the cause, what's the result, which one will I have a subject and a verb? Here you're going to have subject verb in the cause.
Because the cause I put result and the result I put the cause. That is my mistake. Okay.
I know, because in this one, it's the opposite way around, isn't it? In the cause, you have no subject and verb. The same one here, guys. In the cause, there's no subject and verb. But as soon as we change to resulting in, the cause has subject and verb, and the result does not. Okay. Let me look at some of the writing here. Anna, thanks for that question. That was a great question. I hope that was helpful there. Wise, excellent, wise. Atik, as a result of not advising to quit. So, Atik, you're using the wrong one, Atik. It makes sense though, Atik, but try and use resulting in. Don't forget Rahim, resulting in. Okay, don't forget the preposition. Keep writing, guys. Keep going. Amal, perfect as usual. Ednan, excellent. Farid, excellent. Ola, excellent. Respiratory, excellent. This is really nice. Lucinda, excellent. Farak, excellent. Andrea. These are all nice sentences, right? So just to be clear, it's the opposite, isn't it? It changes after resulting in. Well, after resulting in, oops.
It is verb phrase or noun phrase?
Well, what do you think, guys? Look at the example resulting in, what's this? This is actually the same rule as above. It's just that the cause and the result change. Okay, so it's going to be noun phrase again, or noun. Okay, not verb. So it's the same in that idea, not verb. But please note, cause and result. What can we say about cause and result? It changes, right? It's the opposite. It's different from due to. It's different from the other one. Okay, keep going, guys, with your sentences. Let's have a look at some of these. Mr. Black, respiratory problem, resulting in being advised. Okay, anyone on the car crash? Yeah, let's do this together now. You've had a bit of a chance to do some writing. I'm going to test individual people. Okay, so Serap, would you mind saying hello? I'll take some questions as well, as are there others. But first, Serap, Mrs. White, eyesight, he crash.
Crashing.
So Mrs. White, Serap, Mrs.
Yes,
White.
had a poor eyesight, resulting in crashing. I think. I don't know.
You just need that one.
In him.
Resulting
You use due to a car crash. Due to having a car crash.
What do you think? Can we say
resulted in him being crushed?
Yeah, you can't. Hussein. Yeah, you can't. Because, guys, why? Why can you not say
poor eyes is the cause.
the cause and the result in this one, Hussein? I'll make this. I'll put this glowing so you remember. It changes round the cause and it swaps them. You know what I mean? Even though the grammar is the same, you've got to think. Just think to yourself, what is that causing that, right? And then you'll see it. Mr. White had poor eyesight, resulting in him crashing.
No,
If I say due to
being crashed.
due to, that means that he crashed, and maybe his eyes were injured. Is that what you're thinking, Hussein?
Yes, I think.
Maybe that. Right, okay, but well, it all depends on what's in the case notes, doesn't it? Depends on the case notes. Okay, that's a good point, actually. Someone said being crashed. Who said being crashed? No, he crashed, right? He cannot see and he's driving. He does it himself, right? If we say being arrested
but it is possible if we use due to having a car crash.
Sorry,
but not
not so much.
The spelling of sight, I think, is different.
Sorry, yeah, it should be one word. Sorry.
I was a little bit confused.
I'm going mad here. Sorry.
I work in ophthalmology. Yeah.
It should be one word.
Also, Ellen, shouldn't it be her?
Yes, thank you. So keep me honest, guys. It should be so him, her, all right? But it would be here crashing. It doesn't need to be passive, okay? Last one, Mr. Richards. Mr. Richards, mobility, car, home. Wise, you're pretty good at this. Mr. Richards?
Yes. Mr. Richards.
Yeah, you got to do more work now. Sorry, I took more of the words away. Sorry. Mr. Richards, this is, let's say, poor, just to give you
Poor mobility.
And this should be, sorry, care home.
Resulting.
It's very fast.
Yeah, I
try again, Wise. Go on, it's my fault. Go on.
It's okay. Mr. Richards had poor mobility, resulting
resulting
in him being cared.
Living.
In whom?
In him now. What do we want to say here? Being cared?
No, living in a care home.
Living. You can say living in a care home. Mary. Or what if we wanted to say transfer?
Transferring. Yeah.
What can I say?
Transferring to care home.
Transferred.
If we say transferring, that means that he is doing it. Okay, so if I say transferring, that means he is saying, okay, I want to go into a care home, right? What if his son or his daughter does it to him? Being, right? So this is like a passive meaning, passive gerund, right? As I think Paul's talked about this before. Okay, so look, I'm sorry, we're going much slower than I would have liked, but I mean, if I rush it, that's not going to help anyone, is it? So I think today I'm going to take some questions now. Tomorrow we'll do sequence, and we're also going to do contrast. It's exactly the same ideas, so we don't need to learn anything new. Just tomorrow we need to look at although, despite, and tomorrow we need to look at after and following. Okay, Azada, you've been very patient with your question, so go on, Azada. What's your question on all this, please?
Helen, can we use due to and as a resulting together in a one sentence?
Due to... No, you don't need to do it. Azada, you could use, the first one could be complex and the second one could be compound. Right? It's getting very difficult now. So you could say, due to being punched, right? Actually, no, not even that. You cannot do it. It's not possible at all. Sorry. Okay. Only one is required. Remember, guys, as well as, due to, as a result, these are adverbial phrases. After them, we always have
noun phrase.
Right? After a subordinating conjunction, what do we have?
No.
It can be a noun.
Or a verb.
Verb, subject and verb. This is the key point, I guess, if you want to go into technical things. It doesn't really matter what we call it, though. What matters is practice, okay? So, again, sorry I did a very long review. We'll do more practice tomorrow, and we're going to look at a real letter tomorrow as well. I'll take one last question. People who've been very patient, thank you for waiting. Ahmad, I think I'll take you if that's okay, Ahmad, because he's not really talked very much this class. Go on, Ahmad.
Okay, Alan, I have a question. Would it be possible to change the cause and effect in resultant? For example, Mrs. White had a crash resulting in her poor eyesight. Would it be possible to do that?
Well, I think this is what Hussein was saying. It depends, doesn't it, on what the situation is. Maybe he crashed and he injured his eyes, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, you can. This is not a grammar thing, is it? It's a meaning, an understanding thing. When I wrote that this morning, I was just thinking, he cannot see, so he crashes. But it could be the other way around. And let me finish with this point. The reason why results are so important, it's not just the grammar. It's thinking about what causes what. Very often when I'm grading a letter, someone is forgetting what is the cause and what is the effect. So don't mix that up, okay? And don't forget, number one thing, sometimes you need a noun phrase, sometimes you need a verb phrase. You've got to study this. Now, my study document will be on the website. You can watch this video again. Tomorrow, I'll see you guys and we'll do the same thing, but we're going to look at contrast. Although, we'll also look at sequence, following, after. All right, and I will mention the passives as well, do a quick passive review. Thanks everyone for all of your hard work. I've run over again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ali.
I'll see you all very soon. Thanks. Bye everyone.